everybody, this is Petra Lohmeyer from Nevelle, and this is the Win-Win Podcast. And believe it or not, what you just saw was actually me in a much younger version, standing in a place that I used to work in, only that I didn't work there as my younger version. I was quite a bit older than that when I was there. So this is really interesting what AI can do nowadays, right? It took me like only a few minutes anyway. And I'm sorry that I'm a little bit hoarse today. This is not because I've got a cold or anything, but I was at an event on the weekend. One of my favorite people in the world, Tony Robbins, was in Cologne, and we went to the UPW again. And of course, that includes quite a bit of shouting, so I am just hoarse from all the shouting still. But I wanted to change tack a little bit with this Win-Win Podcast, and I wanted to basically focus it just on situations that everybody who would watch a podcast like this should be interested in, which is business, which is doing the best for your business, be it through innovation or through making it look good. And today is about making it look good, because everybody who is in business knows that there is a thing called a brand, and if you have a brand, you have to make it look good. And we mentioned that with one of the gardens already, that most kings in the world had spectacular gardens, but were probably not the most avid gardeners. So why did they have the gardens? Because it's a reputational advantage if you have a beautiful garden. So what we're looking at today is roof gardens. Why are we looking at roof gardens? Because everybody's talking about roof gardens nowadays, and I'm going to spare you the details why for those people on this podcast who have some sensibilities. But roof gardens are a good idea generally. I think most people will agree to that, but usually they look a little bit, sparse, or they look a little bit out of place, or, some people may just have like some vegetables upstairs, which is not bad. It's better than nothing. And it is good to sustain you with good nutrition. For example, I do remember that one of the banks that I worked at in Canary Wharf had a vegetable garden on the roof, and that was in 2008 or 2009 already. So they were doing it then already, and they were using this in the canteen as well. But there are other things that you could also do with these gardens. And how did I get to that? Well, today I was thinking of a new project, basically working and doing kind of a proof of concept on this new project already. So we went around the place, and then I was told that we were going to go to the roof garden. So I'm standing here, and I'm waiting for us to go to the roof garden. And then I walked around a little bit, and you see a few pictures here. I didn't really have much time, so the pictures aren't spectacular, but you see how the place looks like, right? And then the person tells me, well, as we are in the roof garden. I said, what roof garden? And she says, well, we're in the roof garden. I said, why is it called a roof garden if it's here? Well, she looks at me like, and she said, well, we're standing on the roof of the canteen of where all the bakery and everything is. And I had no idea. Take a look at those pictures. You cannot actually see, this is on the island of Mainau, which is in the Lake of Constance, Bodensee, at the very south of Germany, between Germany, Switzerland, and Austria. And I've been on this island quite a few times because this is a lovely weekend escape. It is one of the most beautiful gardens that I've ever seen. I've gone to a lot of gardens, including in England too, because this is something that I really do enjoy, which is really a Zen experience for me. And I walked through this garden that we are seeing there, which has some spectacular flowers and stuff as well. And I never realized it was a roof garden. And then I realized when we walked downstairs, and then she said, you see these squares? That is the little garden thingy, inside the building that you just went to. And I never realized that, because you never go the path down those stairs usually. And from the bottom, it looks like a normal storefront. You know, you've got like a bakery, and then you've got a big restaurant, and you've got all kinds of different things and some stores, you know, like a souvenir store, because this is a touristy thing. And it's a huge, long building, basically. And this is what's on top of it. It's a roof garden. And you can't distinguish it from all the other gardens in the garden, and it's a huge island, right? It's a huge flower island. So that really inspired me, and I thought, okay, let's take a look on the internet to take a look at other roof gardens, what other roof gardens look like. And as I expected, because I've looked at this before, I didn't find many pictures that were absolutely spectacular, that you can actually feel it, because sometimes you have to stand in the space to actually feel it properly, because you have to have a 360 vision, right, to really feel it. I mean, for some of you, this might not be something particularly new, because if you work in Canary Wharf, you've got the garden right there, which is a beautiful garden. And even the park outside is a roof garden, because it is on top of like the tube and all these shops that you have underneath Canary Wharf. So it is a roof garden. It's not a normal garden. One thing that I also asked them in Mainau is if they have any problems with leakage from the garden, and apparently they don't. I mean, the only reason why I found out about this is that they told me that there's only 4 feet that they can, or 40 centimeters that they can go down. That's why they can't put a big stick in there in order to hold something up, because that they would go through the roof with the stick, or you know, if they would put strong enough stick in there, let's say. But yeah, and apparently they don't have any problem at all. So it is possible. So it is because that would be the first objection that people would have, right? That there's water coming in. No, there's not water coming in. So I just wanted to inspire you today to show you what is possible in terms of the wood garden. And I've got some indoor gardens as well that you may enjoy as well. So let's dive right in, and I'll just explain to you what these things are.
Now, I did a search on the internet, and there appears to be a company in Singapore that creates all these cool buildings, and it is called Butter Green, I believe. I don't know this company myself, but I did find this wonderful compilation, but I couldn't find all the pictures of all of it. But I did find the cloud forest, and I have seen that before. That must be absolutely spectacular. And there are several pictures of that if you want to get some inspiration. There's another building that looks like this, and it may not look that great from outside, but inside it must be absolutely spectacular. I mean, this is just incredible. Now we've got Chicago City Hall. That looks like a really beautiful garden as well, if you're in it. And then we've got the Rockefeller Center. Take a look at that. Look how beautiful this is. This is like a normal park outside, as you would expect it, right? Now, the next thing is, don't ask me to pronounce this. This is an airport. You see the planes back there. Isn't this beautiful? Don't you want to spend your time in that instead of the normal hall? Now, this is apparently a hotel in Singapore. Now, I was in Singapore before, but I've never seen anything like this, so it must have changed quite a bit. So it's on my bucket list again. And then we have Kensington Roof Gardens. Look at that, how beautiful that is. And this isn't just a couple of pieces of moss on the roof. It is a real garden. Jubilee Park Canary Wharf, I mentioned before, there are stores underneath. It is not the normal ground, and it is also water, built in water, basically, the wharf, right? If you've ever been there, and then you know that. Then we've got Thammasat University, which is basically also, I think they also grow vegetables and stuff there. At least it looked like that in the description that I saw, and it is beautiful, isn't it? And then we've got this weird tower in Italy with the trees on top. Isn't that cool? I would, I would have thought that worked with the roots, but apparently they made it work. So it is inspiring just to see that all of this works. This is in Darmstadt, and it can also, if you want to build something like this, you can also contact the people who built it. Now, one of my favorite projects is the Eden Project. I actually drove past this in Cornwall once, and I had no idea what it was. I had never heard of it, and I didn't hadn't seen any kind of advertisement for it. And that's why I almost drove past. But then something told me, well, just take a look real quick. If you're here, you're a tourist, you can just as well look at the tourist attractions. And I went around the corner. It is huge. I mean, huge. I think this is also part of a project which would be interesting for Mars as well, because they've got these self-contained spheres there, and I think they do some research on what happens within these spheres as well. But it is a really beautiful thing. So if you are ever in Cornwall, I would absolutely take a look at this. And go inside. So there are so many ways to incorporate nature into your building, if it is a big building or a small building. Of course, there, if it's a smaller building, you also have different options, but they do make it look a lot better, and they do improve the air quality, of course, and all these kinds of things that we usually mention. But it just simply looks good. And it makes you look better. And it makes your company look better if it has something like this, because otherwise they wouldn't all do this. They are not all that nature lover orientated, I would have thought. I mean, there are architects like the one that I mentioned last time, Manrique on Lanzarote, who really are into nature, but there are a few of them who are, but they wouldn't be hired if it wouldn't also make the company look better, if it wouldn't also raise the reputation of the company. So you may not be into gardens, but a lot of other people are. And the kings knew this, and that is why they all of the castles have huge big gardens that are very impressive. So just for that reason, you may want to look into this, whether you can make your building a little bit more nature friendly, because it looks better. It makes people feel better. In the garden today, when I was at Mainau, it just improves your well-being so much that you also become more productive. And that is what all companies want, right? So this was it for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in future again. This was Petra Lohmeyer from Nevelle.